Ladies and friends, good day! I am extremely honored and delighted to present to you my action research entitled Attributes in the Track Choices of Senior High School Students Basis for Enhanced Career Guidance Program. One of the biggest reforms in the Philippine education system is the passage of Republic Act number 10533, otherwise known as the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013. An important feature of the law is the additional 2 years in basic education, grades 11 and 12, called the senior high school. The goal of this reform is to produce graduates who must be job ready, college ready, and life ready. Learners must decide on the following exit points: trabajo, negosyo, at kolehiyo, thus making them nation builders and productive citizens of their respective communities. On the other hand, the study of Saysay in 2013 pointed out that the high percentage of underemployment and unemployment is attributed to the inadequacy of skills of some graduates and not meeting of the competencies needed by the companies. Therefore, it is not just essential that skills are developed in school, but it is also equally important that learners must be aware of the competencies needed by the industries and the opportunities that they can take advantage when they graduate. In relation to this, the Department of Education released DepEd Order number 43, series of 2015. Section 18 of the said DepEd Order prescribes the conduct of career advocacy activities that will guide secondary level students in choosing for their career. It is assumed that when learners are given proper guidance and support mechanisms, they will be motivated to finish their studies and reach for their dreams in life. However, this did not hold true to Tagbino National High School right at the onset of the implementation of senior high school in 2016. We have recorded more than 10% of our learners dropping out in the first school year. When we had a chance to ask them, they said they are forced to work to earn a living to support their families. This scenario undermines our dream for our learners when we want them to finish their studies to be prepared for life, for a job, and for college should they choose to pursue their studies. After looking at the dropout rates, as a teacher and coordinator of the senior high school, I found this very alarming. This has pushed me to conduct this study. I wanted to find out if our learners are truly aware of the factors or attributes that influence their career choices, the challenges they hurdled in choosing their careers, and what enhanced career guidance program could be proposed to help them. Specifically, this study sought answers to the following questions. 1. What is the demographic profile of respondents in terms of age, sex, and parents' combined monthly income? Number 2, how do the following attributes affect the track choices of senior high school students in the areas of family, personal, peers, school, and community? Number 3, what are the problems encountered by the respondents in their chosen track? And 4, based on the data gathered, what enhanced career guidance program could be proposed? There were a total of 146 respondents who participated in the study. They were enrolled in the different tracks of the senior high school. The study showed interesting results. As shown in the table, the totality of ages of the two groups of respondents belonged to 17 years old with a total frequency of 61 or 41.78%. The grade 11 were mostly 16 years old with frequency of 42 or 51.86%, while the grade 12 were 17 years old with a frequency of 34 or 52.31%. One can deduce that respondents had varied ages in both tracks and grades, considering that the data on the table had frequencies with corresponding percentages. Obviously, some of the students were overaged based on their grade levels. Based on DepEd policy, The ideal school ages for grade 11 and 12 are 16 and 17 years old, respectively. However, data show that a number of them were 18 to 20 years old and above, which implies that they could have stopped schooling or they could have delayed their enrollment when they started formal schooling. Results imply further that a lot of hindering factors had affected their schooling, the reason why some of them were older than their grade levels. In terms of sex, females dominated in all grade levels and in both tracks. A total frequency of 42 or 64.52% belong to females, while 23 or 35.38% are males. In most of the schools, female outnumbered males. This result also confirms the study of Ferrell in 2012 that female employees and students composed the majority. She cited that many of the male high school graduates, which refer today as junior high school completers, prefer to land a job than pursue their studies. As regards parents' monthly income, data were revealing that a great majority of the students belong to families whose standard of living is considered below poverty threshold. A total frequency of 45 or 30.82% had income with a bracket of 3,100 to 5,000 pesos. There were also 21 or 14.38% whose combined monthly income was 1,000 pesos and below. These results validate the program of the conditional cash transfer of the government, popularly known as the 4Ps, to augment income of indigent families. Data further reveal that the lowest frequency was within the bracket above 11,000 pesos, which recorded 3 or 2.05%. This connotes that the respondents were coming from families with no stable income. This implies further that these students are at risk of dropping out or getting failing grades, as poverty is the main roadblocks why students can hardly pursue their studies. The family attributes referred to in this study are focused on the parents' socioeconomic status, professional affiliation of parents, and many others related to this area. As shown in the table, the overall average mean obtained by both groups of respondents was 2.55, with descriptive rating of disagree along the averages of grade 11 and 12 with 2.53 and 2.58 respectively, with the same description of disagree. The connotation is that the parents' attributes did not necessarily influence the track choices of the students. However, the consideration for families' financial status and the possibilities for future work in choosing a career had composite average mean ratings of 3.00 and 3.30 respectively. All are equivalent to moderately agree. This data imply that the students are anxious of the financial capacity of their respective families in sending them to school. Moreover, the students are also optimistic to acquire skills in their studies for future works. They are preparing themselves to gain the skills necessary when they push through their chosen career path after senior high school. A striking datum of 1.63 or strongly disagree was recorded based on the data gathered from grade 11 TVL track on considering family business as a factor in the choices of the course. Veering from the previous table, the families where these respondents came from were living below poverty line. Thus, these families do not have family business, the reason why they rated it disagree. The students' own decision to take a senior high school track is being reckoned with in this portion. Whether or not their track choices are solely influenced by their own decision is being looked into in this study. The personal attributes overall weighted mean obtained was 3.27 with composite means of 3.19 from grade 11 and 3.25 from grade 12, all equivalent to moderately agree. This means that the respondents themselves had personal and considerable reasons in taking up their track choices. Having this data, it gives us a connotation that students could show much interest in their chosen tracks as these are based on their personal decision. It was notable that varied means were all equivalent to descriptive rates of agree to moderately agree. Student respondents then were certainly guided on the chosen tracks they are taking. They could be devoted in doing school tasks as required in their respective courses, as these courses they are enrolled in are based on their personal decisions. Peers or classmates are attributes to one's career choices. In the case of this study, the peers are looked into their influence as bearing to students' career choices. The results on peer attributes as perceived by the groups of respondents generated an overall mean of 2.78 with composite means of 2.80 and 2.77 from grade 11 and grade 12 respectively, all equivalent to moderately agree. On the other hand, the grade 11 academic track students rated each of the 5 items equivalent to moderately agree. Their friends' choices in senior high school track have also affected their track preference. This connotes support system and cohesiveness as they together study in school. This result also exemplifies social learning theory of Bandura, as cited by Ulila, that peers could be a major factor that influence one's career choices, interests, and hobbies. This theory posits further that the individual around a person could lead him to do the parallel to what the group or groups are doing. However, other respondents did not manifest influence of their peers based on their track choices, as they variedly rated identified items as disagree. Generally, the respondent groups perceived differently from each other on peer attributes that affect their career choices based on their diversified weighted quantitative data with the corresponding ratings. The image of the school is an enticing attribute why students enroll in that school or the opposite. The data obtained recorded an overall mean of 3.13 with composite means of 3.16 from grade 11 and 3.10 from grade 12 with an adjective rating all equivalent to moderately agree. The varied means as reflected on the table has quantified data with descriptions of moderately agree and agree. While this data connote positive perceptions, the respondents still had expectations that the school failed to provide considering that nobody among the respondents rated equivalent to strongly agree. It also implies that the school still has deficiencies, which could be the main reason why no one from among the respondents rated with the highest range of strongly agree. It can be noted further that the grade 11 academic track had a rating of 2.53 equivalent to disagree on the choice of students on the tracks they enrolled in. This means that the school offers the tracks and major fields based on their preference. This is a boon to the school and advantage to students as they cater to the students based on their chosen track. It further implies that the survey to students employed by the school in order to determine the senior high school tracks and major fields to be offered was effectively determined. External stakeholders are not just support providers to school endeavors, but more importantly, they could be the absorptive party of the graduates of the school. It is then imperative to determine how the community attributes can directly influence track choice of students, participate in skills honing, and eventually make these students productive members of society. The overall average mean was 2.93 with 3.01 from grade 11 and 2.85 from grade 12. This data had descriptive rating of moderately agree. Data on the table also show the varied means based on the perceptions of the respondents, which range from disagree to moderately agree. The item on support from the community and other stakeholders had rating of disagree. Such was the case account the fact that immersion partners are far from the school. The immediate surroundings of the school can hardly provide their services for the students in the school. Immersion students need to travel considerate distance to have authentic experience based on their major fields of specialization. The grade 11 students also disagreed on the item that captures provisionary transportation, lodging, and communication facilities availability. They are aware that their immediate community offers less or even none, considering the depressed situation of the place where their school is located. This could be the main reason why the respondents rated disagree on these items. Their affirmation on the availability of job in the future affects their choice of course implies that the community has very slim opportunity for jobs or none at all. This moderately agree rating connotes that their chosen track to become entrepreneurs or land a job in places away from the community proximate to the school. This study also assessed the concerns that affect the track choices of the senior high school students. These are preconceived problems identified by the researcher. The problem in parents' income that affects track choice recorded an average mean of 2.82 or moderately agree. This means that the students are fully aware of their respective family's poor status of living. While education is free, still students incur expenses like transportation and food costs, school necessities like materials and supplies for the required outputs, and etc. The respondents can hardly demand financial requirements to defray expenses needed for their school concerns from their parents, even if the parents show the willingness to support them. Scarcity in resources hinders parents to optimally support their children in school. Other problems had descriptive rating of disagree but vary in rank. Distance from home to school had weighted mean rating of 2.59 or ranked 2. Although respondents had the perception of moderately agree based on varied means, the implication is that they prefer to be in school with considerable distance from home to school than opt to study in a much further school with better facilities than their resident school. Generally, their dream course was also met in this research venue considering the rating of disagree with weighted mean of 2.42 or ranked 3. Other problems are also indicated in the table with degree of seriousness being represented through ranking. Finally, an action plan was developed which aims to facilitate senior high school entrants in deciding their career of choice. Several activities initiated were school-wide implementation of career guidance program to all grade 10 and incoming senior high school learners. The Turo Negosyo Caravan, where learners highlight their products and services, thus unlocking their potential to become entrepreneurs. Go Colegio Fair, where colleges and universities in the locality were invited to give career talks and encourage them to pursue college after they finish senior high school. Capability Enhancement and Orientation Seminar with PESO on current job opportunities and in-demand skills necessary in the workplace. The journey of conducting action research gave me the realization that indeed it takes you and me, all of us, to bring out the best for our learners. As they say, it takes the whole village to educate a child. Thank you very much, and mabuhay ang DepEd.